You like them?
I need to make an eye appointment.
They look the same. Are they? Did you put in different glasses?
They are Razer smart glasses.
What does that mean?
They have microphone and speakers and buttons, and I can take my phone calls and listen to my music through my glasses now.
Okay. Do you do that often?
Not yet. I don't have the prescriptions in them yet.
So you're just showing off the frames.
So far, yeah.
I
also got a new e-cigarette for you guys.
Discord.
You specifically don't care about that.
What's that?
New e-cigarette.
Yeah, nobody cares about that.
It's very nice.
Michael read the
kicks. It'd be nicer if you didn't even do it.
All right.
Play some music.
Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web application. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
I just realized something. I don't know if it loads. I gotta see. Do you know? Do you load all your scenes ahead of time, or do they load when you pull them up?
They should all load ahead of time.
Shit. I just realized I didn't copy over the Patreon stuff. So
that should be fine. Now that stuff, I have that stuff set to load on change.
Hi, Zombie Slayer.
Okay. Zombie Slayer. All right, I just moved it over, so we should be good then. If not, whatever. Yeah. All right, we ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. You're listening to episode 277 of the award-winning PHPUgly.
Still going with the award-winning thing, huh?
Yeah, you keep saying that, but we have not won any awards.
Bad news for Mack. Major League Baseball has banned the use of shift, so they'll have to do all their Laravel migrations by hand. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me tonight is John Congdon.
Did you mention the episode number? I wasn't paying attention to you.
And Tom Rideout.
You've got to be extra excited today because I saw some news and I just knew I was going to see a smiling face from you when we came on today.
Yes, John, 277. That's 7 followed by another 7. We've been doing this for a while. What news did you see that you think would bring a smile to my face, Tom Rado?
Well, the baseball dispute, the payment dispute, is settled, and the season is now officially starting.
And I don't think I have confirmation yet, but I saw tweets come in that says that they ban the use of the shift, which is kind of been one of these controversial things in baseball for the last few years. I'm not a fan of it, but I mean, if you're going by statistics, why wouldn't you do it? But apparently, it's not going to be a thing anymore. So,
But
No
do you,
idea
but
what
do you
that
realize? Do you know why it stopped? Why the whole everything got resolved? Because my kid starts t-ball on Saturday, and they got to start at the same time.
I'm sure that
That's-
was it. I'm
that-
sure
that
I'm
was
sure
it.
that
Yep.
factored into it.
Yeah. So what
Yeah.
is the shift in baseball? I have no clue what you're talking about.
Oh, you've seen it. If you watched baseball, whenever you get like
Okay,
a,
so
Yep, right off the bat, you
Mo-
hung in this.
most of the times it's a power hitter who does what's called a dead pull. That means they always pull the ball when they hit. They will put on what's called a shift, where all the fielders will go to. If it's a left-handed batter, it would be the right side of the field. If it's a right-handed batter, it would be the left side of the field.
Okay, so like
they
when I
all
was
move
playing
over.
baseball and everyone said, "Hey, it's him again. Everyone come in closer."
That's a different sort of shift. That's a different shift. When they say, "Yeah, outfielders just go have a seat," infielders just scoot
Grab
in
a
a little
soda.
bit.
Grab a soda. Second baseman, you can take time off. I was
And
not
it's
not good at baseball.
It's really one of these things. Like I don't know. We don't need to go into a lot here. I know you guys aren't big fans, but it's like these teams are playing the stats. You know, the person hits the ball to the right side of the fence 98% of the time. So why don't I put all my players on the right side of the field? And
So why are they stopping it? I don't get that. That makes sense
it
to me.
really is
Yeah,
not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch at all. It's already so. Think about it this way: if you succeed 30% of the time, you are an all-star in baseball at hitting. That means out of every 10 at bats, if you succeed, if you get a hit 3 times, you're doing really good. So
Right,
it's
that does
already
sound boring to
very
watch.
difficult. It's already very difficult to get a hit. You take into the fact that they're playing these shifts, that stat even drops further. It's just not fun. It's not fun to watch. So
How are they going to control whether the outfield is shifting though? Like how?
well, it's not just the outfield; it's the infield shifts too. Usually the third baseman and shortstop come to the right side of the second base, and I mean it's ugly. It's very ugly. So I don't know. I don't know what the rules are, and I don't even know if that's official yet. I saw a tweet fly by that kind of hinted to that, but I don't know. I don't know yet. Kind of hoping for it.
You're listening to Baseball Ugly.
That's what I said. I know you guys aren't interested, but you know, a couple people on Discord might
Yeah.
like to hear. So
Yeah,
I'm
I know that
interested
this
to a
is not the
point.
time
I like
nor the
going to
place.
games for sure. I just don't follow. I don't follow it. I'm not as into it as you are, where I need to know all the latest. I'll go to a game, watch it, enjoy it, drink a
don't
beer,
need to know. I
have a
just
heart
do.
attack. It's all
I
good.
absolutely enjoyed the minor league stuff that I went to see much more than ever seeing the Padres.
I like going to see the Padres.
Mm, mm-mm.
Hey, my kids are
Oh,
sponsored by the Padres. You can't talk bad about them.
Well, that's yeah.
My kids, their team name is the Machado Minions.
Hey, we got some good news, actually.
Yeah, you've got a hell of a setup behind you here. You've really gone full VTuber with this background.
I haven't changed anything in a few weeks now. It's just my background. I'm standing. That's the only difference. So you're seeing higher up. You're
I
seeing
think that's
my,
what it is.
skateboard. So it's the same setup. Nothing's changed. But gas now, it's actually cheaper to drink my scotch than it is to get gas. So
Well,
that's a
good.
bonus.
That's good news.
That's
I
good
think
news.
zo-
now,
I think
now
zombie-
they
Good.
don't say the saying used to be don't drink and drive. Now it says
Just
Drink, don't drive.
I think Zombie Slayer in YouTube on YouTube is drinking Appleton's 12-year. I'm assuming that's a alcohol of some sort. I don't know Appleton, so
we are opening up a fresh bottle of Lagavulin 16.
if you'd come over to my house and play in one of my poker nights, you can finish off the Lagavulin that's above
You literally drove
my-
by my house and didn't drop by. You want me to drive an hour to give you my
we covered
money?
that. We covered that
What?
last episode.
Just to get the-
Did you have a poker game for me to stop at? Stop and play at? No.
No, but he's got a pool.
I do have a pool.
Yeah. Point being.
Yeah, the gas thing, it's so strange watching the sort of propaganda network so effectively roll out like who's responsible for this and why is it happening, and people just saying the dumbest stuff on social media.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating. People very upset that the Keystone XL pipeline was canceled, construction of which would have finished 6 years from now and delivered all of its fuel to South America.
Exactly.
So-
That wasn't even for us. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
we didn't
bizarre.
talk about it.
Canadian-owned oil being transported through the United States to the Gulf of Mexico to be processed and then sold to South America. Like, where
We
in
didn't
that
talk
where in
about-
that lineup did we get cheated?
much on the show. As a matter of fact, we didn't talk about it at all on the show. But I came in possession of a hybrid vehicle recently. We talked a little bit.
It just dropped into his driveway. He doesn't know how he came into possession of it, but it's there.
Well,
It's
it was
like
a
the scooter.
compromise, right?
It's not technically
It-
his. It's technically
was a
owned by
co-
somebody else.
It was a compromise. I've been wanting an electric vehicle for a long time. I don't want a Tesla. I wasn't interested in a Tesla. I was very interested in the Ford F-150, but you can't even order those right now.
Yeah, the price
But-
went up $10,000 after they announced it.
Yeah. But even the wife was a little on the fence around the concept of a electric vehicle. Like, yeah, there was like, well, what happens when when you run out of power? I'm like, well,
What
it's just
happens
like
when
a
your
car.
pistons blow up in your engine? I mean, what's
Well, no, it's not even
Now,
that bad,
now.
John. It's like, what happens when your car runs out of gas? You go get more gas. Well, when you run out of juice, you go get more juice. It's kind of the same concept.
right?
Well, this hybrid I have is one of these pluggable hybrids, and it actually runs off battery 100% for like 14 miles. It's only 14 miles, and it kicks into this hybrid mode, and you get, in theory, you get like 30 to 40 gallons, 30 to 40 miles.
Sounds like
per
a
gallon.
Leaf.
Yeah.
What is it?
But now the wife, who I love, first thing, I'm on the fence. So we bought it at CarMax, and CarMax has this 30-day return policy. So I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not I'm going to keep it because it's not really getting the mileage I had hoped. Because again, a lot of people in the house still work down in San Diego, and that was the idea. We'd have this really fuel efficient vehicle to drive down to San Diego. And
So did you already bypass the mileage limit on that? It's 30 days, or was it
1,500.
750 miles? Or is it 1,500?
Yeah, 1,500. So no, we haven't. So, but the wifey is in the car, and I'm explaining everything, and I can just feel her tense up the moment the electric gives out and the gas kicks in. So it's seamless when you're driving. So you're just driving, and the car figures everything out. And once it gets down to like 20%, it says, okay, I'm switching over to gas, and I'm going to use the last remaining part of the battery for the hybrid mode. And it actually charges the battery while you drive as well. But when that happens, when the gas kicks in, and it's noticeable because like when you're driving on the electric battery, the RPMs don't go, like they're on zero. Then all of a sudden they pop up because the gas kicks in. I can
When a
feel
huge
my
plume
wife
of
just
black smoke
tense
comes
up.
out the back.
And it's like, so I think she's coming around to the idea of electric vehicle, like, because it's so nice. So with 14 miles, which it's not a lot, but you can drive around town. Like you can run down to Starbucks, you can run down to the grocery store and get back home and be on electric the whole time. It's so nice when you do that. But I'm with her. It's like once that gas kicks in, it's like, son of a bitch, god damn it.
But that's the difference though, is when you're on gas, you realize gas is over almost $5 a gallon here in California at this point, and you can feel that like draining your purse, but you don't feel it when you're plugged into the wall. And how much are you paying for that?
Well, I mean, depending on where you do it.
You guys heard the whole saga about my new car, which is now running fantastically. It's running great. The wife loves it. I love it. But it wasn't until after we had purchased the car that we looked up whether or not it needs regular fuel or premium fuel, which was a bit of a surprise to us.
Everything everything says it needs premium fuel now.
I thought that when with my new car, but it wasn't. I just misread it. It's regular.
Yeah, mine actually says not using premium fuel could void the warranty.
Really?
Yeah, could cause engine damage and may void your warranty.
So anyways, I'm thinking about taking the car back and getting a full electric, but the only thing they have that's even slightly appealing are the Teslas. And I'm like, oh, man.
Which are problematic vehicles.
I've heard this. I've heard this from Tesla owners. Like the couple of Tesla owners I've talked to say that you know that the Tesla wasn't built by a company who built cars. Like there are just these little things about it that are frustrating.
Yeah, so that's what I've heard too. Is that, the drivetrain is fine and the batteries and all that. It all works great. It's just that like the fitment of all the components is sometimes weird. The door handles can freeze over, which is a thing like here in Colorado Springs where you can't get into your car because the door froze the handle shut.
Mm-hmm.
There's like nitpicks, but it's not as high quality as it likes to say it is.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm so on the fence. I got to make a decision here soon because I'm coming up on the 30-day mark here in about, I don't know, I think I have 2 weeks. I think it was like the 25th I got it, but I got to double check that.
What's the mileage on the Leaf? Yeah, the Nissan Leaf gets 150 miles.
But that's full electric too, isn't it?
It's full electric, yeah.
Yeah, but is Eric going to fit into a Leaf?
That's the thing you gotta. It's 150 miles with the average human.
Here, okay. See,
the Leaf is small, right? Am I thinking
yes and no. Yes and no. Here's the thing: is that because I went car shopping recently, I experienced this where I looked at very large cars where they're like, "Yeah, this is a big American vehicle. Go on, have a seat." And I sat in it, and like my forehead was against the glass.
That's me. Well, I have the issue with my head hitting the ceiling a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I went whole Police Academy Hightower and ripped out the front seat and just sat in the back seat, I'm still having like issues with room.
Yeah. See, it's not about how big the car is; it's about how they engineer the seat and how low you can sit in it.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, first world problems, really. I tell myself I'm fortunate to have this.
What is the car that you have?
It's a hybrid.
Oh,
it's
a Prius.
I got my plates finally for the car that I just bought. And
holy cow, how long did that take?
It took 3 months. I got my car in December and I just got my plates the other day. And of course they spelled my name wrong. Jonh. I'm like, how do you mess that up? And I go and I look at all of my paperwork from CarMax. I'm like, no, it's all right in here. So they screwed up when they sent the information to the DMV. So I finally called them today. Like, what do I need to do to fix this? We'll take care of it. You should have something in a month or so. Or if you don't have anything in a month, call us back. Let us know.
I assume they don't have to reissue the plates. They just have to update the registration.
Right. Yeah.
So here in this is one of my fun little culture shock things here in Colorado is that you have to register it after you buy it. And so you go in to register it and fill out the form and give them the money, and they turn around and have a stack of plates, and they say, "Do you have a preference on starting with a letter or a number
Mhm.
or anything like that?" I go, no preference, and they just give you 2 of the plates that they had sitting there, and then sign them out to you.
Mhm.
It's like, all right,
Those are
nice
some
and
places.
efficient. I like that.
How about we
What you might
switch
not be
gears and go to
what,
tech?
what you might not be aware of, Tom, because I'm not sure if they were doing it when you lived here, but they finally started issuing temp tags out here. So in California, it was one of the most shocking things when I moved to California. You'd see cars driving around with no license plate. I'm like,
Really?
what the hell?
Yeah,
Why
they
are
just
there
got
no
the little
license plates
paper
on
in
it?
the window.
Yeah. And my friend's like, oh yeah, they just bought the car. And it's like, it's not a new car. It's like, oh no, yeah, they just bought it. So it was probably used, but yeah. And that was the thing. Like cars didn't have to have a license plate on them. And then they'd send it. Well, that's not true anymore. They have temp tags like I think pretty much everybody else in the country does.
Well, because that was the thing, is that if you had a problem with your registration, you were better off taking the plate off and just getting a photocopy of a sticker with a little green bar at the top of it and some random text on it and taping it to your back window, because the cops couldn't read it, so they just assumed that it was still valid.
Hmm. Yep. All right. So let's move on. I have some topics I want to revisit with you guys, but I don't want to hijack the show. I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to maybe talk about Trello boards, and then we can go back to my game plan. So let's start with you, Tom. How was your week?
Interesting. Finally got my schedule shuffled around for my team that is in the Eastern Bloc. I work with a lot of Serbians and that whole area of the world, and they are basically just signing off work by the time I'm starting up. So our stand-ups were at a time that I couldn't make it, but got that figured out.
Didn't want to make it. You didn't want to make it. You
No, I
could
couldn't.
make it.
No.
You just didn't want to make
Well,
it.
I'd like more than 4 hours of sleep. So yeah.
Ew, what time are you going to bed? It was all right. So full disclosure, because I'm not letting you off the hook that easy. The stand-up was at 7 a.m. Tom's time. So it's not
Yes.
like they were asking him to join at 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that.
Might as well.
Okay. So
it would have
pick
been
up your
easier
story.
if it was 4 a.m.
You-
so he could just stay up and be on the stand-up.
You
and then go to
inconvenienced
bed.
a lot of people just so you get another hour or so of sleep. So go ahead, continue.
Yeah.
And it worked. They
Well,
caved.
no, it's Eric's story now. Eric knows all the details. So
No, man.
he can tell the rest of it.
I don't know anything else.
So that's all worked out. Communication is established. I'm working on things, and
So they
and
caved.
boy,
It's now later. Is that what you're saying?
it is now later, which is nice. So, but I'm working with APIs, integrating third-party APIs, and I just hate them. I hate all of them. The documentation's not up to date. The authentication procedures are random. Whether or not they have an IP whitelist is totally up in the air.
What's more exciting is they'll just start changing. You'll build a business that's completely dependent on them, and they'll start changing one or two small things.
Yeah, and I'm
you
talking
become a slave
big
to
companies.
the API docs.
Big companies. I'm working right now with Thomson Reuters, and they're huge. And their API appears to be completely out of date. You have Thomson Reuters, the media company. They own the media. So it is a nightmare to try and get this stuff working. And the worst of all is when you have sandbox credentials that aren't working, and you have to communicate with the person who set up the account, who is not a technical person. They have to communicate it to their support desk with whatever company, and the support desk is like, "Oh, have you tried entering the password in?" And you're like, "Yeah, 4 days worth of conversation back and forth now. It's just like the worst kind of problem to have. And I have a developer portal login. So like they actually have it sandboxed off well enough that as a developer, you can just say, I'm a developer, and they'll give you all the stuff that you need. But then like somewhere in the API, it's like, okay, now pull up the reference number for this search system within your dashboard. Like, I don't have the dashboard. They're like, well, ask the person who has the dashboard what the reference number is. Like, they're not going to know what the reference number is. They're an accountant. Like, how do they know what to look up reference numbers for the API for? Well, it's in settings, developers, API keys, and then under API keys, authorized endpoints, and then custom authorized endpoints, and then that should have your developer ID in it. From your developer ID, enter that in through here, and that'll give you your endpoint ID. Like, great. I'll just send that right along to the accountant, and he'll get that figured out right away for me. Like, it is the worst. And everyone is doing it the same way, and it's terrible every time. Like, there has to be some level of understanding that the developers are going to be working completely independently from the person who wants this thing set up in the first place, and that they have to be able to operate with very, very little interaction between all of the moving parts to get the thing built.
Mm.
And it's just, no one does that.
If only there was a standard when it came to authorization versus homegrown.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. OAuth 2. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Hit this endpoint that's hosted on a different server that's also IP whitelisted and sometimes doesn't get the same whitelist as the API server. Yeah.
That's true.
Also, keys just stopped working. Or like if you need to make 10 concurrent requests, do you OAuth every time you make the request?
All right, so you got away with changing everybody else's schedule around you, and it's a pain in the ass working with the APIs. What else you got going on? See, I pay attention.
That is it. That is my life right now.
API woes.
Yeah, it is. My current workload is add new endpoints to an existing API that we support and implement these 2 new APIs.
All right, so I have a question.
Work for the sprint.
I have a question for you guys. You get random emails. This person's saying that they are they work for a security company or whatever. They would like a bounty for finding an error in your system or a bug in your system. Do you reply to those?
Are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
Did this
No,
happen to you
probably
again?
No, I'm just asking in general.
No.
In general. Do you reply to the emails where people say, hey, I found this bug and I would like a reward of some sort?
Ask for the CVE.
Yeah,
What
but
if
it's
they
not
have,
always
what
a
if they have
CV.
one?
Like, well, and sometimes it's a configuration issue as well that they claim they found.
Yeah. So the most recent one
outside my pay grade.
The most recent one that I saw affected a client, and it's a known WordPress DDoS potential issue that there's no patch for currently. So the person writes in, hey, you're affected by this. Here's how you fix it, and I want to be paid. And they're like considering paying him or them. I don't know who it is. They're considering paying, but then there's all this discussion of, well, how do we prevent this before we reply to it? And it's like, just don't reply. It's just somebody that wants money. It's not like they haven't threatened like, hey, I'm going to attack you. It's more of a, hey, we found this potential issue and here, we expect some sort of payment. And I've gotten so many of those for our business where I'm like, I just ignore it. And it's never caused us any issue. No one's ever attacked us. Like, you didn't pay me, so now I'm going to DDoS your systems. It's a phishing scam. Like, let me contact as many people as I can that are running a WordPress site right now. and see who's willing to give us a few shekels.
Yeah, I think I think it does legitimately happen. In how to identify the legitimate emails, I think would be a helpful conversation. Because I mean, just ignoring security problems is probably not the best.
No. I don't mean
he's not saying that.
I don't mean ignore security problems, but when it's a well-known WordPress type issue, like there's a CV out there that there's no patch for, it's a potential issue. Is it worth
currently unexploited?
Right.
So there's a similar scheme around sending invoices to large companies. Where
I remember this.
Still done very successfully.
Yeah.
You just send an invoice to a large company.
Before.
I mean, just to give you put it in some context, John, you could send a bunch of big Fortune 500 companies an invoice for a magazine that maybe they subscribe to, maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm just gonna pay this invoice. I'm just saying, it's a possibility. It could happen.
I will tell you that there are legitimate bug bounty boards and systems that you can engage with, and 99% of legitimate bug hunters are using those boards because they have established values to them, and they have more information on how to target the vulnerability than just randomly hitting WordPress sites. Then I can tell you that the 1% that randomly targets people without using official bug boards is offering their services as a consultant and saying, hey, bring us on. We're doing this for free, but if you want us to do this for you full time and check for bugs and fix your issues, we offer, we have a company, let's call it Diego Bug. And, we just scan you and check you and do the thing for you. If not, we understand small businesses have to make priority decisions, et cetera, et cetera. The people who are targeting you are not any of the 99% or the 1%. They are just grifters. They're just
+1.
They're not part of any format of legitimate bug hunting or bug bounty system.
No, I agree. It was more of you get these random emails.
Sure.
How do you respond to them?
But here's my rule with a grifter is that grifters have already sunk the cost of the moral dilemma of what they're doing, which means they will act without morals from then on. So it's better to just not engage them at all than it is to engage them and show them that you have interest or money or time. Because grifters are going to grift. If they come to you with a bad deal, they're going to sour it even worse later.
Title of the show: Grifters are going to grift. And if you want to suggest the title for our show in Discord, join us over at discord.phpugly.com. Join the conversation.
Do a bang title and give us a title name. And
there's been no title suggested so far. That makes me sad. So I've been doing a lot of event sourcing again lately, and I'm excited about that. So just getting back into that world, wrote a couple of aggregates this week, bunch of commands, bunch of events, and it's like every time I start to work on this, I'm like, why isn't everything event sourced? and I know it comes down to there's a trade-off from there's more thought to be put into it. It takes a little bit longer, but I'm really excited about what I'm working on right now in the sense that one, getting another piece of the product event source for my own knowledge base. Like the more I do it, the more efficient I get at it. And just some of the possibilities that brings from the auditing, the paper trail of everything that has happened to just centralizing where things happen. I'm really excited to be working in this again.
I've been
hoping
reading
to
about
do
a little
more
bit
of
of
it.
event sourcing with like enveloping things, and
Don't know what enveloping things
a lot
is.
of it goes over my head. But
I just know that word. They only said it a couple times. I figure it's
yes,
important.
I've heard it in the past.
For you, I'm surprised you're not event sourcing because everything you do seems to be so critical. You're dealing with financial information, right? Not necessarily accounting level things, but being able to track when things happen seems to be very important.
We are storing raw data and building what we need out of it. So it's kind
So
of
are you doing like a document store and just storing globs of data?
I have been shot down on a document store. We are using MySQL.
Well, I mean, the current version of MySQL could be a document store as well, but that's a whole different
Kind of is.
conversation.
We're building integrations that don't necessarily have a front end to them yet. So we're actually getting just this vast amount of data from our services, and then giving it to the front end and saying, hey, draw this the way you want to draw it. If you need to create aggregates or something, then we can do that. But we don't have a lot of reporting in our system for for the scope of the whole system. We very much just focus on a lot of data, but one user at a time. So we don't have to create aggregates in the same way that some sites would have to.
It's not so much aggregates as much as seeing how things change over time, even if it's a short period of time.
Yeah.
It's knowing when and why things happen to your data.
We have a bit of that.
I love the aspect. I have a couple questions for you, John. But one of the things that most intrigues me about event sourcing is capturing data you don't know you need yet, and being able to go back and find that data. But do you have, I don't know, like any rule of thumb of where that line of the sand is of, okay, this data should be event sourced, but this data doesn't need to be?
It's hard because working in a legacy system, 99.9% of it is not event sourced. It's more as we build out something new, it's a discussion on the team. What I'm building right now, we foresee a lot of questions from users of, well, why did this happen? And the only way to answer that is if you have the historical information, which traditionally you don't have because you update and delete records out of a database.
Right.
So we're anticipating why did you use this phone number, or why did this not work? And we're hoping to be able to go back into the event history and say, well, at this point in time, you were configured for this or that, and that's why things happened.
Right.
So it's a combination of new features / anticipating what will happen from users.
Interesting.
But in general, that happens all the time anyway. I have plenty of use cases where I get support tickets of XYZ happened, or why is this? And I wish I had that kind of historical data where right now I'm going into the database just hoping I can find something that points me to the answer, but often it's not there, right? I have to say, well, I assume that at this point in time you changed something. Like I might have a date updated on a record, and I can say, I can see this was updated, but I don't know what changed. Well, that sucks. Like,
Right.
so I try to correlate it back to the support ticket of, well, you said this happened. I see this record change, but I don't know what changed. My assumption is you did something.
Right.
Yeah, and I can see where that level of detailed logging is really useful, especially in the case of errors happening in your system.
We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, HookRelay.dev. HookRelay.dev allows you to create powerful webhooks without having to create all the groundwork yourself.
I did change that. What the hell?
Yeah,
Well,
John.
Hook Relay is still a great product.
Is when errors happen, you don't know they happen. Wouldn't it be great if there was a service for that? Something that you could just be alerted that.
When you're in production, 1,000 things can go wrong. You could deploy a bug in your latest release. Your background jobs can silently fail. Someone could trip over the network cable at your data center, and this all comes back to you. You need to know when bad things happen and be able to respond to them quickly. That's why we built Honeybadger. It's easy to install Honeybadger in your back-end applications and front-end JavaScript. It only takes a few minutes of configuration and you'll have monitoring done. That's because we hook into popular web frameworks, job systems, and the browser, so that when any of them crash, we can automatically let you know. We ping your application from our global fleet of servers to let you know about problems with connectivity, latency, and SSL certificates, and we monitor your recurring jobs to see if any of them stop recurring. When there's a problem, we alert your team using the tools you already use. We can create issues in GitHub, Jira, and other issue trackers, and send notifications via Slack, PagerDuty, or other channels. When you click through, you'll be taken to detailed information on the error. You'll see things like request parameters, headers, user information, and the backtrace. Click on any line of the backtrace to view it in GitHub, Bitbucket, or your local editor. When you fix a problem, just mark it resolved and follow up with the affected user. That's Honeybadger. We're the monitoring tool for web developers who'd rather be, well, developing.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Honeybadger.
And don't
All right.
worry about that Hook Relay thing. It's still a great product. They just
And it's still brought to you by the people from Honeybadger. They just
yes.
said, hey, it's time to switch things up a little.
Oh,
We're
boy.
giving them too much business. They're like, we're seeing too much business come from you guys. We've got to throttle it down a little bit.
Hey, Eric. I did a thing today.
Uh-oh.
I did a thing. You're not gonna believe what I did.
Did you bruise? Because apparently
Well,
that's
no.
just what you do on a daily basis now.
No. That's tomorrow. I did a thing.
Oh, you got an iPhone.
I switched to the iPhone
What?
today.
You switched to the iPhone.
Why?
So this is interesting.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John. I'll let you go first. At some point, I like to contribute to the show. So if you guys get around to me, just let me know.
I thought this would be big news actually. So I was an iPhone user back, actually well before cell phones were really a thing. I started using the Mac, and I just kept saying, Apple needs to make a cell phone. Like that would be amazing, right? They came out the iPhone. I immediately jumped on, and after iPhone 3, after iPhone 3, I'm like, for some reason, I was drawn to Android, and I've been Android ever since. My wife has been an iPhone user. Every time I pick up her iPhone, I hate the UI. I don't know why. It just bugs me. But over the past probably 6 months or so, I've been on this, like, maybe I should make this change. As she's gotten more into, like, now she has an Apple Watch. She's doing more where I want to be able to be incorporated in her world with what she's got, and I can't. So there's that. I was so ready for the Pixel 6 because I had a Pixel 3 beforehand. I was like counting down the days till they released it. I'm inline online trying to get the thing, and it was a pain in the ass, but finally got it. And the thing is just buggy. It pisses me off. It's slow the fingerprint sensor is slow. There's little bugs here and there that I work around, but it's stupid. And then on top of that, now I'm paragliding, and there's an app that I really want that only runs on iOS. So that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. It's like, all right, all of these things are adding up. Something is telling me I need to make the switch. I can trade in my Pixel 6, get $800 back for it, which is basically what I paid for the damn thing, and change. So today I made the switch.
I am against this in every way.
I'm sorry. Trust me, I put a lot of thought into this. It wasn't like a spur of the moment, I'm going to make the switch. There's just so many things kept adding up.
You waited until they announced all the new iPhones to get an old iPhone.
Probably. All right, Eric, you had something you wanted to say.
Well, now I have questions before I say anything. You don't have to zoom in
Sure.
on me, Tom. You trying to make me feel better by zooming in on me? You don't
No,
need to
I'm
zoom
bringing
in on me.
attention to the cat.
He's yeah. Him and I are having
A moment.
a discussion about whose desk this actually is. Okay, you're gonna lay back down there? No, okay.
Of course, he's got the Apple Watch.
So
Can't
so that's my. Oh, did you get an Apple Watch too? So how long before you switch back over to the Apple computer?
Probably not. I can't.
$4,000 for the new Apple computer.
I can't.
$4,000.
Why can't you?
I mean, I can, but
I can't. Okay, I can, but
I mean, I could, but
No one will buy his used System 76.
Docker itself
Docker-
is the main.
Docker.
Is the
no, it's gonna be like, Docker was a problem, but I really wanted my phone I wanted my computer to link to my phone, to link to my watch. So
Hey,
I felt that outweighed my need to develop in Docker.
I'm dealing with more and more developers that are still on Mac using Docker, and I'm like watching them, like trying to show them how the system works, and it is so slow. And I remembered I spent years prior to anybody else working locally. I think I kept saying, you guys need to work locally, but now I see what they were saying. They're looking at my machine, and as I go do something, I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's because it's local. It's just slow. The difference between Linux and Mac when it comes to Docker is night and day. So
Yeah.
unless Docker got fixed in some drastic way,
Hold
there's
on, I'm
no
just
chance of me going
restarting.
back.
I'm restarting Docker to see if they fixed it.
Why?
No,
What iPhone did you get?
the 13
Is that the
Pro
newest?
Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. As
Don't
of
be
right now, it
ashamed,
is.
man. It's
No,
fine. I mean,
No, it's the 13 Pro Max.
Did Diego Dev pay for this sin? Is what I really want to know.
Actually, it was financed on my mother-in-law's account.
So it's funny that you brought that up when you did to me. So you told me about this a couple of days ago. Not that you had done it, that you were thinking about doing it. So much like you, John, I've been on Pixel for a long time now, and I've always said that I can't go back to a phone that just doesn't have the base OS in it, like like an Android that comes from one of these cell phone vendors. Well, I also had my wife on Pixel for quite a few years, and she decided, because she was due for another phone, and she really liked the thumbprint reader on her Pixel 3, which wasn't there in the Pixel 4, and I always complain about it in the Pixel 6. I'm not happy with the thumbprint reader in the Pixel
Right.
6.
It's terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. So she decided she wanted to switch over. She took advantage of one of these deals and got the new Samsung phone. Samsung is a great product. I think that's what I was using up until I started using the Pixel. And like off the bat, she's like, "What are all these apps on my phone? I can't even uninstall Candy Crush. Why can't I uninstall Candy Crush?" I'm like, I know. So in my head, I'm already thinking I should just get her an iPhone. Like, if she gives up on this Samsung, I should just get her an iPhone, because it's either the Pixel or the iPhone if you want that experience of no added cruft to your. I assume the iPhone's still like that. They don't put any extra stuff in the phone.
I didn't see any. I mean, there's a ton of apps on there, but it's all iPhone centric.
Right. And I'm sure you can uninstall them if you want. I mean, like things like Candy Crush and Facebook. And she's like beside herself. She's like, "What do you mean I can't uninstall this?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's the thing." So we might be getting an iPhone in this house at some point. I don't care. I think it doesn't feel that different to me. I actually have an application on my Android that doesn't run on the iPhone. It's for, and if you do like stuff around the house where you need to find studs, there's this product out there called a WallBot or something.
Oh, you got that?
I got it. Oh my god, it is so good. I actually got a second one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because in the
man.
move, I've had it for years. In the
Really?
move, I lost my first one. I didn't lose it. It's still packed somewhere. I'm like, in the new house, I'm like, I've got to get this. Not only has it paid for itself, because it's not that expensive, but like, so Tom, if you're not familiar,
I'm
there's
not
stud
at all.
finders, right? So there are all these stud finders. I always have problems with stud finders. They just, every time I touch them, they just start going off. Bad joke. Anyways, usually stud finders are like little beep, 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 beep things, right? And when it starts beeping loud, there's a stud behind the wall.
Sure.
I actually found a better version of that. It's actually low tech. It's a very powerful magnet because most studs have nails in them. And it'll find a nail and lock in. I actually like that one. This thing is like radar. It tells you if you see a stud, if it's a pipe, or if it's, and I've actually almost drilled into a pipe once. I'm like, let me get the WallBot just to make sure this is good. When I was hanging my television, I'm like, well, glad I didn't drill there. It's great. I love the thing. It's totally worth the money if you hang a lot of stuff. So yeah, get that. But that app doesn't run on iPhone.
That surprises me, actually. Most apps run iPhone first because it's a closed ecosystem. And it's like it doesn't change. Where with Android, you got so many varieties, and it's a pain in the ass because you'll have somebody say, "Well, it doesn't work on this phone or that phone, but in general, it works."
Yeah. No, this they have no. At least the last time I checked, they had no iPhone version. They're very explicit about that.
I wish I would have known that you had that because I've been looking at that thing for years, and I'm just like, it can't be that good.
It is totally that good, and it's so cool because like a wiring, like that PVC that they use for wiring, that doesn't always go up and down. So you can actually follow it through your wall. It's really good. I highly recommend it as a tool. Yeah. The only pain in the ass is that every time you go to use it, you have to calibrate it. So it's just like, going on a circle on your wall. And
of course, you calibrate it by holding it against yourself and waiting till it beeps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's how it works.
It's driven purely by dad joke energy.
That's right.
Now, can you see your internal organs? That's the next question.
I haven't tried that. I would assume not. I don't think you have the option of drywall or concrete. You don't really have the option of body. And I'm sure if you tried it, probably would give you a tumor. All right, I have questions for people.
I want to hear them.
I've been waiting for this.
So these are topics, if you've listened to the show long enough, these are topics we've talked about in the past. I hope it's been enough time where we haven't talked about some of these. But if you're in our Discord at discord.phpugly.com, feel free to participate because I'm very curious about this. So first one's for you, Tom. John, you and I actually kind of had this conversation. And it came up to me from a client. Tom, in your new place, are you guys using GitHub?
No.
Oh, are you using any SVN?
Oh yeah, no, we're totally on with the Atlassian system. Everything we do.
Bitbucket?
Yeah.
Is it Bitbucket? Okay. So Bitbucket is very similar to GitHub, right? I mean, it's all good. Do you? Because I know in your previous job you did it. What workflow do you guys adhere to now? Do you use the everybody forks the upstream or everybody works on upstream?
Everybody forks develop and
well, wait, not forks. Everyone, you're saying everyone branches from develop. Everyone works in the same repo.
Everyone works, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so you still work in the workflow of everybody works in the same repo and they just create their own branches.
Yes.
What do you see? Do you have an opinion as to what the benefits of that approach are?
Simplicity. If
Okay.
if I'm working off of a forked repo, then to pull the latest develop in means pulling up the UI and saying fetch develop from the fork. And
I mean, how is that any different than if you're working in the same repo and you're in a different branch and you need to update that branch with develop, you still have to do the same thing.
no, I could fetch origin develop.
You can do the
Yeah,
same
but you still
thing
have to
with
pull
the
it in.
upstream.
Right, but I don't have to pull develop from a different repo. I can just pull it from. I don't have to merge the repos.
It's not like you got to walk to the repo. It's all digital. You just tell it, hey, fetch it from upstream as opposed to origin. I mean,
I don't know. It just seems simpler. I haven't worked in an environment where we're using forked repos.
hey, Discord. If you're not familiar with my understanding of the differences, this is by no means any textbook that I know of. The workflow I prefer in what we do within Diego Dev is we used a forked repo approach where we establish the upstream repo of the project and all the developers fork from that repo into their own GitHub account. Now,
It's kind of the standard open source method of,
and that
work.
definitely
That's
adds a
true.
layer of adds a layer of security. I can't accidentally commit something to develop and
Right.
push it
So
to you.
so to me, that seems like a better method because me as a developer, I'm always tinkering with stuff and I'm always creating branches. And sometimes the branches I'll never open a pull request back to upstream with a branch because I'm just tinkering to see if it works. And my naming convention could be whatever I want. And then what happens is then I have whatever branch I'm working on with whatever manner I feel like working on it, committing as much as I want and all that other stuff. Then I can, of course, squash my commits or whatever I want to do to make it pretty before I open up a pull request upstream. And I just open up that pull request. As a manager of multiple repos, it's very nice to have a clean upstream repo where I have dev, staging, main. I don't have 50 branches in my repo and try to figure out, okay, well, this
50,
person's
that's
working
it?
on this. This person's working on this branch and this person's working on this branch, and this branch is expired because now they're on this branch. I don't have any of that noise. I just have PRs to my upstream and it keeps everything nice and clean. And I ask that because, I'm sure there are benefits to keeping everybody on the same repo, but I struggle to see those benefits.
We were talking about this the other day. I think I brought it up to you. I did the same thing with FoamBurner where we do forked repos. Everybody gets their own forks, and it's just the way I set up because that's what I was comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Hired some new people recently, and the scoff I got about why are you doing forked repos? That's crazy. I then look at my local repo. I have, no joke, 2,850 branches.
Amateur.
How many are your branches, and how many are branches you're pulling in from other developers to test?
All mine.
Oh, really? Oh, wow, crap!
Yeah.
That's a lot. So see,
No,
that's something else I do is I'll pull in from other developers.
Part of that was being naive a few years ago. I told management, when you go to merge something, GitHub has this great squash and merge thing. So they were squashing and merging. Well, that screws up my local repo because I don't know that my branch has been merged anymore because the commit hashes have changed. I used to have a nice simple script that I would delete merge branches and would say, it would go through all my list and say, okay, this has already been merged. Go ahead and delete it. Well, once you do the squash and merge, you can't do that anymore.
Mm.
So that's one reason not to use squash and merge in GitHub.
Mm-hmm. I don't use squash and merge. I don't care if I have
I
1,000
don't.
commits.
I don't anymore. But
Yeah.
at the time, that's what I was pushing for. I'm like, it's nice. You don't. It brings it all down to one commit.
And the client I was talking to specifically, so client came to me about this. They're looking to move to GitHub, and they were asking me. They're the whole single repo sort of workflow, and they were asking me about it, and I was telling what I thought the pros of it were. And the response was, well, what if you have multiple people working on the same branch? I'm like, I don't understand the question. And they're like, well, they need each other's code. I'm like, yeah, well, they there's a couple approaches you can take with that. I mean, they can share each other's repo and pull from each other, just like you pull from upstream. I would pull from John, or John would pull from me.
Mm-hmm.
You can establish and say, okay, Eric, your repo will be the one we open the PR request from. So I will keep my stuff updated to yours and either open up a PR to you or just commit directly to you. And then the whole thing of, well, what if they're working in code that overlaps one another? And I'm like, I don't see what the difference is if they're on the same branch or not. Like, it's not like Google Docs where they can see each other typing at the same time,
Yeah.
So
there's also the option of feature branches upstream too. I do that a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if you have one of these workflows where you roll features out to clients. Like, not everybody's doing this one feature. You're only rolling out to certain amount of servers that certain clients are on, or something like that. That would make a lot of sense.
I do it where you got multiple developers working on a single feature, where if you've separated out your tasks well enough where you can work in parallel, it's like, I'm going to open my code against feature branch A, in the upstream, and somebody else will open up a separate PR to the same upstream branch, not to developer staging, so that now you have code review separated, but everything gets merged into that one, and then you open a PR from the feature branch to your develop branch when you're ready. Once everybody gets their part of the feature done.
Oh, that's interesting. Now that you say that, I just realized something. That same client asked me to close some tickets today, and I went into the repo to see the status of those branches to see if they were merged in, and those branches were gone. And he was like, "Oh yeah, they must have gotten pruned or something." I'm like, "Well, okay. So does that mean the code is in the production repo now?" And yeah, it must be if it got pruned. It's like, well, had this been my own repo, I could just try to open another pull request and verify that all my code got merged.
That's why you don't prune branches.
I'm going to close these 10 tickets then, because I got no code to look at. That's interesting. All right. Cool. So Joe Ferguson,
I can say,
thanks for monsters. The Zombie Slayer's with you, Tom, as far as the single repo. Interesting.
I can say that we have a QA team that I can ask to test a branch, but if I told them to test a PR, they might be stumped.
Well, so that depends on your QA team. So we're working now.
It really does, because I asked I gave JSON to one of my QA testers, and they said, "What's that for?" And I said, "You use it as a mock to call the webhook that you're testing." And he said, "What's a mock?" And I said, "It's this thing that QA testers use." It's driving me slowly insane.
So in our CI environment right now, it spins up Docker containers per PR. So you can go to PR dash and then the pull request number dot blah 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 blah, and now you're hitting the actual code for that PR. So we can tell QA, here's where you're going to go to test this PR, and here's what this PR is supposed to do, so they can test that feature before it ever gets merged in.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Well,
Okay, I got more.
You know who I'd like to hear weigh in on this? Our patrons on Patreon. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that.
Thank
Do we have
you.
any, do we have any Patreon news this month, this week?
Nope, no news.
All right, good. Glad I asked.
Okay, so while you have that up, so I want to move on to my next question for you guys. Again, it's a topic we've visited in the past. I'm very, very curious about Discord's thought on this, and it's something I'm personally struggling with a lot because I enjoy the fact that both my Vim and PHP Storm, which I had a problem with PHP Storm today. I should have reached out to you, John, but I didn't. But Vim wasn't complaining. Like it was working fine in Vim. Anyways, both my PHP Storm and Vim format my file for me when I save. So when I save, it auto formats everything. It says, okay, make sure everything is indented correctly. I'm that crazy ass who likes to align, the equal signs and likes to align their hash rockets and but again, when I'm doing client work and I'm in a file, especially this one client has files that are like, I'm not even exaggerating, 4,500, 5,000 lines long. And it formats everything to my liking, and I'm happy about that. But then when I, submit my PR, I've changed one line of code, but it looks like I've changed like half the file. I'm struggling with this because I like the formatting. It looks so much better when it's formatted. And I know there's even I get the aligning the equal signs and the hash rockets and things like that is one of those kind of touchy subjects that people go back and forth on whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. But even not that, just like the normal PSR sort of, this is how things should be formatting. I like it. It feels so much better. The file looks so much better when it's done, but I feel like it's such a burden because I don't do the code review. I'm just another developer.
Yeah. So I've gone through this a few times as projects have evolved, and I agree with what Joe Ferguson is saying in Discord. Establish a code style first that is agreed upon for everybody. So if you're going to align your equal signs, everybody has to agree to it. And if you can get it into your phpcs.xml, even better. Then run a fixer across the entire code base where you can say, hey, this PR looks scary, but it's all formatting changes. Like you can scan through it real quick, but it's formatting changes. Just accept it. Nothing should break. Now your PR is a one-line fix again.
And then just start forcing those.
Or if you know that's going to happen, save your file first. Open a PR just for that one file if you're not going to do the entire code base. And say, hey, this is a formatting PR. And now here's my PR for that one line change so that they are completely separate.
I like the idea of everybody doing it my way better. That seems like the best approach. I think that's how do it. Just do it my way, and everybody will be happier.
We have PHP Doc and PHP CS as part of our rule set for our IDEs. So I actually just formatting stuff shows up as an error in our code. It's a red line that says, hey, there's an error in your code. And it might just be a basic formatting thing as too many spaces before a class definition or something like that. But everyone's gotten pretty good at it. Pretty good.
But again, if you have it as part of your XML file, assuming you're using PHP CS, and it's agreed upon, and you're starting from a clean slate, that's easier. going back to Eric's question, though, making one line change and now having a 3,000 line PR, that's really not acceptable. I would be annoyed.
I'm fine with it.
I would be annoyed going through that PR. I mean, like, what's the change?
Well, the PR should ignore white space changes.
You can change GitHub to do that.
Yeah.
In GitHub, you can add there's an option in there where you add it to the URL, &WS equals 1.
Yeah.
To ignore white space changes.
That's just what you do.
But they're
I
not
don't
all
think that's
just white.
default.
It's not. But it's an option in GitHub.
Right.
But
no, Tom's like, yeah, no, everybody knows it. Everybody does that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's what you do.
Just what you do.
Well,
but
okay, so it's the
not all
default
just
for
white
most
space.
for most IDEs. That is the default for doing diffs when there's a merge.
No, what the fuck are you talking about? No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No. Diffs show the diff. I've never seen an IDE that does that.
PHP Storm defaults to ignore white space on diffing two files.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it does.
No, it does not.
Anyways,
I will fight you on this because I use it every goddamn day.
I can tell you've got 3,000 open branches.
It's not 3,000. It's 2,850. Damn it!
Sorry, it's rounding up from 2,000. Now, as much as I don't have a whole lot to say about this, besides just being wrong about what the default is for stuff, I do have to say that the programming subreddits this week had a little conniption fit about coding standards and styles. And the big one is, of course, tabs versus spaces, which I'd like to remind people, I resolved this long time ago on the podcast, but in case you've never heard it, the correct answer is the tab key to generate the correct number of spaces. That's the answer.
That's the answer for you. That doesn't solve it for the people that like tabs.
It does.
Exactly.
Because they like tabs, because they like hitting the tab key. That's it. It solves 99% of use cases.
Delete one character and move back 4 spaces is what they like.
No, the people that like tabs like it because some people want 6 tabs, some people want 2 tabs, some people want 4 tabs. Where with one tab character, you fix that for everybody, not just the people that like 4 spaces like you. That's the difference. I'm
afraid Discord's not backing me up here.
No, I'm a space person. I agree. Spaces I'm telling you what the people that like tabs are. So you didn't solve it. You just spoke what you wanted.
I am telling you, the tab people believe.
I honestly don't know any tab people. Are there still tab people in the world?
There are tab people in the world. They're from the 70s, and they think you're taking away their tab key. They think that they have to hit the space bar 16 times.
Don't cancel my tabs. All right, so I want to move on.
Yeah.
I want to move on.
I still think
more topics here.
Last topic on that. I still think there are people that like condensed code and they want what looks like a 2-space tab, even though it's a single tab. Go ahead.
Okay, well, this isn't Perl. They can deal with it. All modern compilers strip spaces anyways. All formats of spaces.
Okay, so Tom, I'm going to pick on you again.
Fire away.
How'd you feel knowing that Taylor listened to you? Did you pick the perfect show to kiss the ring or what? So if you didn't listen to last week's show, we talked about Laravel Origins, the documentary on Laravel, and it. Surprisingly, Tom was actually okay with it, which everybody was waiting to hear Tom rant about it. He'd already ranted about it leading up to it before he even saw it.
I had ranted about the trailer. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, everybody was just kind of bracing for Tom. And we did have some criticisms about it. We, in typical PHPUgly fashion, I felt we were fair and all. But Tom actually liked it.
In untypical PHPUgly fashion, I think we were quite fair.
And we got a tweet to PHPUgly from Taylor Otwell himself. So what did you think when you read that?
Didn't read
I
it.
wasn't surprised by his statement. I thought he was a little nicer than he needed to be.
No, you're supposed to start with saying, I was shocked that he listened to the show, but I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
I'm gonna say that
points.
the documentary came out and he listened to every podcast that came out that week.
Well, that's fine. but we were on the radar. That's
and
the point.
I'm saying that as nicely as I can. Is that if somebody made a fucking documentary about me and put it out there, I would look for all of the places where people had watched it and had commented on it.
Just get a little Google alert going, saying, "Hey, whenever
Yes.
Laravel Origins is mentioned, let me know."
Absolutely. So I wouldn't
Which
say
is
that he
fine.
listens to us. I would say that he listened to an episode.
That's all we cared
No,
about.
that's probably fair. Yeah.
And although there has been evidence in the past that he listens to us, but we try
I
not
just thought
to.
it was-
We try not to claim that. We try not to claim that because that feels too powerful of us to say that we have any influence on the community whatsoever from
Well,
this podcast.
I actually took a certain amount of pride the fact that I wasn't even the first one to know about it. Like, I normally get notifications when PHPUgly is mentioned in a tweet.
Right, exactly my point.
I didn't even get, like, I didn't even pay attention to this. And again, a client's talking to me. He goes, "Hey, Taylor's talking about your podcast. He says he hates you." I'm like, yeah, I thought he was being funny. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. He's no. He said you guys were all right. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Okay, now I have to look it up what he said.
He's like, Taylor tweeted about your show. I'm like, no, he did not.
Oh, you heard about there before you saw it in Discord?
Yeah.
Because we had somebody in Discord posted before I saw your post about it.
Oh, did I not post it to Discord? I thought I had posted
No,
it.
you posted it to Slack, not to Discord.
Oh,
I saw it in
okay.
I saw it in Discord first.
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, I made it a point to be 100% sober for that episode. Second off,
we appreciate that.
I was reviewing it entirely as a documentary piece, which means no personal attacks on any of the people involved in it, no criticism of anything beyond the documentary nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fair criticism of a film that relates to something that I am closely tied to.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't really say anything that I think would be found offensive because my point of view was this is coverage of a thing I like.
You couldn't say something that could be found offensive.
Again, I was 100% sober, so I couldn't accidentally say something increasingly offensive.
I want to continue down this track. You take a certain amount of pride when the founder of the framework mentions you in a tweet. I mean, it's always kind of cool to see that. I don't care who you are, right? It's cool whether it's pro or against. It's just the fact that they recognize your opinion is nice.
But I have to stop you there first. I really think we have bigger names in our Discord channel and as regular listeners than Taylor. I really do.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but
I wasn't disagreeing with you. Who do you think we have regular listeners? Sarah's good.
Sarah, Michael Drinda.
He's just those guys who run the podcast. We've already established that. He's not important.
Joe Ferguson.
Fuck you, Steve.
Snipey used to listen. Fucking Steve.
Fucking Steve. I don't think Snipey ever listened.
She did for a while.
I think Steve, won't you mention somewhere like in the podcast or in the documentary? I'm pretty sure Steve was mentioned. Yeah.
I'm just saying I've gotten a little jaded with like our interaction with the community and the community leaders. And I disagree saying that like Taylor responding to our podcast was particularly like star striking.
I didn't say star striking. I'm just saying it's nice to have that acknowledgement.
Yeah, it's nice.
I say that because I'm leading into something else. Okay.
All right.
So if you're in the Laravel ecosystem, you know, and if you've listened to Taylor talk, he has, kind of a similar thing with DHH from Ruby on Rails. He seems, I don't want to call him a fan. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he seems to respect a lot of the decisions DHH makes in terms of the framework. I know we had
Someone
a little
has to.
conversation. I know we had a little conversation about DHH last week, which I'm not sure if was fairly represented. I haven't looked into it yet, but either way, there's no question that Taylor appreciates the hard work that DHH does in the Ruby community, and specifically what he does with the framework he created, Ruby on Rails. I thought it was pretty cool to see DHH reference the Laravel Origins documentary and what he thought of it. And again, I can't speak for Taylor, but I got to think Taylor thought, "Oh, cool! This guy, I'm a blimp on his radar now." Nothing. No opinion.
I don't know, man. DHH still strikes me as a little crazy.
All right, we'll move on.
Maybe a sharp guy, but he just rubs me wrong.
I talked earlier about not wanting to buy Tesla. I might be put in a position where I buy a Tesla. I don't know yet. I'm still debating. We've had many, many conversations about Elon Musk. Yeah. The one thing we try to do, and we do a very poor job on the show, is to keep the political climate of the world out of code talk. But
why, is there something going on right now?
The reality of how important technology is in politics and the way the world's ran can't be overlooked. We saw this during the crazy 4 years with Trump, and how, first he was trying to manipulate technology and social media, and then he was blaming them. And it always seemed like our industry was factoring into the political landscape. What's happening again, right? A few countries, I don't know if the US is one of them, but a few countries have reached out to Elon Musk and asked that he not allow Starlink functionality from Russia and Russian territories during this conflict that's going on with
Ukraine,
between Russia and Ukraine. And
I do have a lot to say about this.
And I'll let you get there. Elon tweeted, Starlink has been told by some governments, not the Ukraine, to block Russian news sources. We will not do so unless at gunpoint. Sorry to be such a free speech absolutist. One of the best replies I saw to this, somebody replied to Elon and says, yeah, but the Russian news is not free speech, so your position doesn't really make sense. You're basically saying you're not, you are a free market communication absolutist, not free speech. Government manipulated speech is not free speech. Convince me I'm wrong. We can't ignore the role. And I know in the PHP community, there are a lot of PHP developers in Russia and in the Ukraine. And I'm concerned about them. As a matter of fact, I actually reached out to John. I'm like, hey, is JetBrains a Russian-owned company? Because is there an issue there with that at all? I don't think they are, but I thought Russia had. JetBrains is a Russian-owned company?
I believe so. No, Czech.
Interesting.
Czech Republic.
There we go. Czech Republic. Okay. Czech Republic.
Does have an office in Moscow, though.
They probably have an office in the U.S. as well. So, yeah. So you said you have a lot to say about this. I'm curious about what your thoughts on this are.
So, forget Elon's involvement in the whole thing. There have been requests to ICANN to shut off internet in Russia. And the thing that baffles me is that we're getting this flood of TikTok videos and YouTube videos and media reports from on-the-ground citizens in Ukraine, and people are saying that we should shut off that flow of information to Russia, the place where they are completely controlled by state media. But the internet is open. So, like, this is legislation being handled by people who don't understand the nature of the internet and what's being done and not done. It compromises the entire idea of the free and open internet to shut off any country for any reason. This is the job of espionage, to cut off services that are providing non-government sponsored information. So if we don't like RT in Russia, then we should be hacking RT and bringing it down. But this is not the job of the infrastructure of the internet to manage that shit. It's the job of governments who are involved in the war. The internet is a neutral party, right or wrong. And, people can bitch and moan all about the censorship on YouTube and Twitter and free speech platforms like Truth and whatever they want to bitch about, but that's not the internet. Those are corporate entities. The internet is run by ICANN, which is an organization that stands for the free and fair internet. And ICANN should not be taking a position no matter what.
Okay, but you're distracting from exactly what you said. Starlink is not ICANN. Starlink is a private company who has the power to say, I'm not going to let you use my product to perform genocide on another country.
But once you're a router on the network, picking and choosing which data you'll route is fundamentally against ICANN's.
But are we talking about two different things here? Starlink versus... Is Starlink just an internet connection?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I look at it. Yeah. Yeah, it's just an internet connection. It's like, your Cox cable, except it's...
Yeah, which I think like 12 people in Russia have Starlinks. So it's not a free speech thing. It's the internet. And as soon as you start restricting sources that you call propaganda, then people will see you as a propagandist for the other side.
See, when you first brought this up, Eric, the way it was portrayed was it was just about government media getting across Starlink versus it being an internet connection where there could be outside views coming into Russia as well.
And that's my point, is that as a provider, if you decide what government media is, you become the problem.
Let me ask you this question then. All right, if you guys want to play devil advocate here.
Really, Steve? For the first time ever, you agree with me? For the first time?
I might be in the same boat as Steve right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get your argument, but what if you're going to say that, then do you say, well, if Russia starts to forbid the flow of information into the country, then you think it would be justified to shut it down? So if Russia says, hey, we don't want YouTube, we don't want these TikToks and Twitter to come into the country because it's influencing the people in our country, we're going to block these services.
That's what Starlink is circumventing, is that Russia can't tell Starlink to block something. They have no.
You're not going to get both sides of this argument, though. You were talking about ICANN, though. You're saying that ICANN shouldn't step in.
You're talking about the Great Firewall,
like in China, right?
Yeah,
China has something like this.
That's at their border gateways. That's unfortunately their decision, but that's where the data enters into their system, and you have to let people filter out what they want to filter out. whether or not you like it.
So they have the right to manipulate this free data flowing in, but if I totally get your point. If you start to say you're the source that identifies propaganda, you become propaganda.
Right.
I get that, but
I don't think
like
he's saying
that line
that
has to be drawn somewhere.
I don't think he's saying that he would want information to be filtered out.
I don't think any of us want that.
Right.
But this is this is war, right?
But this isn't. I think this is different in the sense that the people that want him stopping it to stop the flow of government propaganda is outbound versus all the rest of the news around the world coming into the Russian people. Like
right.
the
and
people that
you
aren't involved
can't-
in the war, the people
I mean,
that don't want the war.
You can't block the signal. They can
Yeah,
they
you
can block
absolutely
parts.
can.
No, they can block parts of the
I mean,
signal.
you think there are that many Russians that have a direct Starlink satellite? No,
No, but
these
I'm
are
saying that
fed
you
to
can't block the
ISPs and
signal.
stuff.
There are people right now who collect used USB drives to put anti-North Korea propaganda on, and then they airdrop it over North Korea in the hopes that someone picks it up and puts it in a computer. You can't stop the signal. You can fuck
But
with
you
it.
can make it difficult.
Right,
which
but
is
then
what they
people
do.
watch. But then people see you making it difficult.
That's fine. I again, I think I'm being positioned incorrectly. I'm not trying to block the people in Russia from getting information. I think that will happen. What they're saying is don't help enable this government do what they're doing, and by shutting down things like, I mean, basically you're saying, oh yeah, countries shouldn't stop sending gas to Russia because they need that gas. There's some civilians that need the gas to drive to the border to see loved ones. But that's not the way it works. You've got to choke a throat, and unfortunately, when you're trying to choke a throat of a government, there's going to be collateral damage.
And I think that's being done by governments. But like I said, you can't lose the integrity. You can't lose the integrity of the network.
We're going to come full circle. If people would just agree with me and do it my way, everything would be fine.
You can't lose the moral integrity of the network, and the moral integrity of the network is dependent on.
I don't think you can say you have moral integrity because you continue to provide bullets to your enemy to shoot you. I don't think that's saying, well, at least I have my morals. That's there is a line that has to be drawn. That's where the leaders of this country and leaders of business need to step up.
I think
so.
That the line...
I get what you're saying. Nobody should be restricted from anything. But when you have a government that's trying to restrict people, but you're not restricting that government, I don't know. There has to be punishment.
I think that the line that has been drawn is that with the internet, at least just with the internet, not with bullets or gasoline, any good intention action of blocking access or providing access is going to look bad intentioned to somebody else. There's no
again
winning.
that same statement can be made about a lot of things, but
it is made about a lot of things.
This is why we don't talk about politics on the show.
No, it's the philosophy, but it's not the politics.
I just thought it was interesting about the Starlink angle on this and Elon Musk. So I'm glad to see that you've come around to Elon Musk's way of thinking and you've embraced him a little bit more there. Tom, you're just full of surprises. You're embracing Elon. You're embracing Taylor. I don't even know who you are anymore. You're a different man when you're sober. That's all I have to say.
Hey,
but
even a broken clock is right sometimes.
I think that's going to do it. We're running long, and I stopped caring about the show a while back when Steve joined. No, just kidding, Steve. I love you, man. I love you. I watched your live stream this week. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I'm not supposed to talk about other podcasts or the live stream, so I won't mention it. But yeah.
Mark the time down. You can just cut that in the edit.
This is going to be episode 277 of PHPUgly. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out
Thanks,
to
Sevi.
PHP, the
Thanks,
ugly.
Frank.
It's called ugly cause it's not professional. But I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting. I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from
I
Thomas.
didn't get to talk about the fact
nobody
that I
go
could see
beyond
Harry
this. I
Mack
get the
this
mic and
week.
then I'm about to keep it like a promise.
Is it this week?
And y'all know we fill them up
Harry
with
Mack
language.
and
We talking
Batman
about the
on
PHP,
Sunday,
the
baby.
programming
Back to
language.
back.
About to break
Excited?
it down, know exactly.
I'm so excited. What
It was
happened?
fun until you sat down.
It was running just fine. What happened?
what
Good show, everybody.
y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
Just elephant butts everywhere.
I know. I was wondering how you're going to position the picture because I was hoping to have more elephant butt, but you're limited.
All right, I really got to
Never see
reinstall Windows on this machine.
You've been
that's
saying that
every
for
week.
2 months now.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks.
Kill the feedback, please. When are we getting our new OBS layouts?
Oh, the day I don't have a heart attack from work.
You're just having a heart attack every day?
Yep.
Too soon.
I'm telling
Too
you,
soon.
okay, about the staying up late thing. I've got 2 kids working the night shift now. I don't feel comfortable going to bed when they're not home. So, like, that puts me at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock already.
That's your problem, not your employer's problem.
No, but I didn't sign up for a 7 a.m. time. I didn't schedule me with an all Eastern European team.
I didn't talk about Harry. So yeah, John, check this out. Up in Ontario, I got the tickets to Harry Mack on Sunday, so I'm super stoked about that. And I'm looking at the venue, and I'm looking at Google Maps to see if there are any charging stations I can charge at while I'm at the show.
They're always
And
there.
I look across, literally across the courtyard. So this is one of these like mega malls. It's huge. It's an absolutely huge mall from what I understand. And right across from where the Harry Mack is performing, I noticed there's a movie theater. I'm like, I wonder what the chances that Batman's playing there. So I check it out and perfect, man. It starts at 2. It's a 3-hour-long movie. Doors open for Harry Mack at 5:30. I'm golden, man. It's perfect. It was meant to be.
Is it you and Beck going?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm gonna grab some stickers. I found some stickers. I'm gonna take some stickers with me. I don't know how. I mean, it's just a comedy improv. So if you've ever been to one of those, they're not that big. I can't imagine there being that many people there. But we'll see. I saw the video from his San Diego show. That was freaking packed, man. It was like just nuts and butts, man. I mean, there was just like
dude's
people.
a big deal.
I didn't think he was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he is. So it's cool. I'm excited. Very excited.
I've got this API that I'm working with, and I built the whole thing out according to their documentation, where you have to make the request, and the request sends back a report ID, and then you have to fetch the report by its ID.
Mm-hmm.
I get the whole thing working and mocked, and using HTTP fakes. So the whole API, the whole system works. I comment out my HTTP fakes to run it against the actual sandbox system. The first request returns the full report. Like, how can your API documentation be that wrong? And this is a huge company.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. I didn't talk about the fact I'm going off a cliff tomorrow.
You're gonna walk off a cliff tomorrow. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
The weather and winds look perfect for tomorrow.
Did you tell your health
The-
insurance?
The winds and the tides look perfect. Since I'm landing
Cool,
on the
man.
beach.
I'm so excited for you. I know you've wanted to do this for a while.
No, I
Is
haven't
it
told
solo?
interest. Yeah.
Jesus.
I did a tandem on
They'll give anyone a
Sunday.
kite.
Yeah. I did the tandem on Sunday with an instructor. Not required. It was just the winds were not favorable and it was busy as all get out there. It was so busy. So tomorrow should be good. I'm hoping.
I haven't talked about Elden Ring, which is amazing because it's mostly what I've done this week and last week.
Not API calls.
I'm about 2-1 on. I'm about 2-1 on work versus Elden Ring. So I'm getting in like 80, 90 hours, but I'm like 50 hours into Elden Ring too. And I haven't even scratched the surface. It is so good. Oh,
See, that's why I don't even start those things. I don't want to get that into it where I just need to play it all the time. Got work to do.
it's not needing to. It's
Wanting
It's
to.
fucking amazing. It's
Get it.
fun. It's
That's
beautiful.
that's the problem. That's the problem.
Oh, check out these screenshots. I gotta pull these up. Log in, 2FA. I'm reading about quantum computing.
Yeah.
It is not enjoyable. I immediately regret it.
Making you read about it.
Huh?
Making you read about it.
Hackaday is a blog that I follow, and they did an article about a guy who said, "Hey, here's the 5 popular languages," and how did I get? And it's just like there's like a breakdown of Hello World for these like top 5 languages for quantum, and it's just a headache.
Alrighty. I'm going to call it because I need to wake up early.
I'm curious, John.
What?
What?
What'd you say?
I said, I hope you enjoy all your new toys. You got a new laptop, new phone. You're going flying. You're all over the place, man. Good luck, man. I want you to enjoy yourself.
Thanks.
I don't understand it. The flying thing.
It's not flying. The guy is just You know,
That's free flight.
gracefully
It's even
falling.
better than flying.
He's not using any gas or anything. It's just him in the wind, baby. Him in the wind.
Very strange.
I know. Supposed to. I wrote to my instructor, like, I'm considering a custom wing. I see that you have some there for the school. Let's talk
How much for a
pricing. So
large elephant?
I was thinking more orange and white PHP architect.
That would make sense, aligning with your interests, because you're clearly not interested in this show.
Definitely not.
So wait, are you like, once you go on your own, are you done with all your lessons?
No. I'm just starting. I got so much more to go.
So okay, that's the question I have the most is what is there left to learn if they're letting you fly on your own?
I'm gliding. I go off the cliff with the glider and I glide down to the beach. There's so much more to learn. I'm in what's called the P1, P2 course. So at the end of my P2 course, I'm still not allowed to go fly at Torrey Pines by myself. I could fly off the mountain here by my house by myself, but to fly Torrey Pines, I need to be P3. So P1 is novice, P2 is intermediate, P3 I think is advanced, P4 is something, and I think there's P5 master.
It's like you got to learn the updrafts and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, you have to learn all about weather, and it's just crazy what you need to learn. And all the while you're gaining more control of your wing. You're learning how inputs affect the wing. You're learning how to manipulate it different ways. Shortly after I get my P2, I want to go to an SIV course, which they basically take you up, tow you behind a boat, get you up high, and then tell you to collapse your wing. And then just how to try and fix it.
oh, fun. That sounds great.
And then as you do more SIV courses, then they get you into flat spins or spirals. And it's all about how do you correct this?
Don't take that course. That's a quick solution for you to avoid getting in a spiral. Don't take the course that mandates you get in a spiral.
Yeah, but the whole point is simulating what could possibly happen, because I don't want to be out flying and get into a spiral and not know what to do. So,
oh man,
in other words, there's an
I was
endless
actually
amount
playing
of
Elden
information.
Ring. I was playing Elden
got
Ring
into a
and it
spiral?
crashed. And you know what happened? I didn't die. Just saying. I prefer the indoor sports.
All right, I'm leaving. I'm done. I gotta go. Thanks everyone for listening.
All right, I'm gonna kill the stream.
gotta
Thank you
run.
everybody for watching.
Bye.